Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we're back with some more CV theory crafting here as we take a look at the Tier 8 aircraft carriers, today focusing on Tier 8 Premium American carrier, USS Enterprise. I have always had a soft spot for this ship. Even in the old system, the old RTS carrier system, she was one of my favorite ships to play. I loved derping around in this thing. I was never a good carrier player in the old system. I'm not a good carrier player under the new system, but I really like this ship, and I'm going to talk about why that is over the course of this video, so hang on, it's going to be a fun one. So, for starters, one of the things that I like most about Enterprise is her rocket planes. You see here, I start off with the rocket planes, they come right off the deck very quickly, and bam, I have a lot of these. There's 12 planes in this squadron. Each one of these planes puts a whole boatload of rockets downrange. I think it's 6 or 8. I have to check. I don't remember, but it's a lot. So when you come in for an attack wave on a destroyer or any ship, really, you are saturating a very small area with rockets. Small area? What are you talking about? Enterprise has a very unique targeting reticle when it comes to rockets. It's very wide, very narrow, very short, but you put a lot of rockets into it. So when you come in for an attack like this on a destroyer, you want to try and catch them broadside. If you do, and you time the attack just right, and you get a lot of penetrations out of the rockets, you can do horrible things to destroyers. But it is they just I love these rockets. They're so good, and she has very deep reserves of these planes. One of the reasons that I think you've seen some of the other videos that I've done about carriers, I think the fact that I've played Enterprise so much means that I lean on the rockets on some of the other carriers more heavily than I should. And so that's something I've got to break myself of. But when I play Enterprise, I absolutely I love using these planes. They're very friendly to use, very easy, and you get solid damage out of them. Now, you saw there the little engagement against the Guépard. I sniffed him out accidentally. I didn't know he was there, but I overflew him. Got one drop off for about 3K, tried to get another one off, and blew it for two reasons. One is, I know that I have to get, when I'm chasing a destroyer to flip around and get a rocket attack off, I have to get back away from him about 3.5 kilometers in order for my reticle to come ready in time to go after him. So I got that on the first run in because I spotted him around 3.7 or 3.8. But when I went back in for him again, I didn't get there. I got about 2.8, 2.9, and I turned around and went back in right away because at that point I was flying into some heavy AA and I wanted to get away from it, and I didn't give myself enough time to get the attack off. So I got shredded. I lost a bunch of planes for my trouble, and I blew the attack. So that goes to show that, like, having a good sense of the timing of some of these drops and everything is critical to having good carrier play. I was originally going to take my rockets over to the decap and look for the Kagero, but when I looked back and I saw the Guépard was in the cap, I thought, nah, we can't have this, so I come all the way back across the map to harass him some more. Now, I know I'm probably not going to kill him. I'm here to beat him up and keep him lit. I'm hoping, apparently naively, that some folks on my team will actually shoot at him. You haven't seen any of those shells yet, have you? But I do put another 2 or 3K into him, and finally, as those planes pull out of the engagement, I look back over, and finally, our friendly Akizuki has taken him under fire. When I play a carrier, very commonly, especially early with my rocket planes, what I will do is I won't hunt a destroyer to extinction, right? I hunt him long enough to beat him up a little bit so that any of my destroyers that run into him have a health advantage in that gunfight, and I try to keep him lit a little while here and there so that my team can take some pot shots at him. That worked out a little bit here. The Guépard is eventually going to go down. He's going to die here in just a sec to the Akizuki. That's good. The problem is the Akizuki is going to sit there, and he's got 2 or 3 battleships driving in his face, and he's going to cost him his ship. So that's not a great trade for us, right? A Tier 6 destroyer for a Tier 8 one. But that's the goal when I go for these early rocket strikes. I don't hunt a DD to extinction early unless he's very low and I can come back for him and get him in one pass. Ordinarily, it's about harassing him, getting him lit, and giving my destroyers an advantage in that initial engagement. Looking on the edge of the map, after that attack resolved, I saw this lonely Bismarck over here, and so what did I do? I grabbed Enterprise's AP bombs. Now, Enterprise is one of the only American carriers that has AP bombs. In fact, I think now she is the only one. And these AP bombs are really, really good against battleships with certain armor schemes and frequently cruisers, very much like the Japanese ones. So, I come over here for the Bismarck, hoping I can get a multiple Citadel attack. I don't. I get one sit out of it. But one of the things that frustrates me when I play Enterprise, right? Her dive bombers, like, they do pretty good work. You put 6 bombs into that targeting reticle, so you're probably going to get some hits. It's not like the Japanese, they only drop 3, and Graf Zeppelin's problem is she only drops 2. That's one of the reasons Graf Zeppelin's dive bombers are such garbage. But Enterprise drops 6 AP bombs into that reticle, so you're probably going to get some hits. The trick is that you have to fly through a lot of flak to do that. And so you almost always take heavy losses. And I did that there. I got one drop off and pulled out. I grabbed the rockets. You see the Kagero there on the minimap was spotted somewhere. I'm willing to take some fighter losses here. There were only a couple of fighters there behind me. Yep, there's the Kagero. So I don't want to waste these planes. I don't want to blow the attack and send them back. So I'll cut over. We'll spot him again. He's trapped against the island. He can't turn to starboard. So I've just got to get past him. Judge my distance here. Okay, this one I even timed it up a little tighter there, but he didn't turn into me like that Gepard did. The Gepard cut the distance even shorter, and I do get just enough rockets into him for kill number 1. So like a low health destroyer like that, yeah, I'll absolutely grab my rocket planes and chase him down. I should be doing that as a destroyer, as a carrier. I have the ability to be anywhere and polish off low health targets. So as the game's kind of developing here, we have a cap disadvantage, but a ship lead. We're up 3 ships here fairly early, only about 6.5 minutes gone. As I look in the middle of the board, I see an enemy Monarch. He's camped, doing something, and I'm like, well, I got torpedoes for that. So for the first time in this game, I grab Enterprise's TBF's torpedo bombers. These are basically the same torpedoes, the same torpedo bombers, the sort of thing you get on Lexington. These are not unique. Once upon a time, Enterprise had like a wonky drop pattern for her torpedo bombers, but that was in the old RTS days. That's all gone now. If you've used Lexington's torpedoes, you know how this works. This is nothing new. But he's moving very slow, which makes leading this attack almost trivial. We're going to get 3 into the starboard side there, accelerate out of the attack, get out here about 3.5, 4 kilometers, flip around, turn to starboard this time to keep a better angle. I'm learning. See, I can learn. Not like that Vladivostok in the game I showcased last week. And now I've got a perfect broadside angle as he's finally got his engines going the other way. Just lead him just a smidge. Pop the heel to make sure I get these into the water. And there they all go. We'll pull that attack out and try something different. Now, if you noticed, he ate the first 3 and immediately repaired the flood, which means that the flood that I just got is going to stick. And you can see the damage there ticking up in the top right. That Monarch is going to be flooding for a little while. I don't have quite a full squadron of torpedo bombers to go back for him, so I grabbed the dive bombers. I'm actually curious. Some of this is a little bit of experimentation on my part. I don't know if I can Citadel this guy with these bombers. I've done some experimentation with Enterprise's dive bombers against Tier 8 battleships in the training room. I know that I can Citadel Bismarcks and Vlads and these kinds of things, but I don't remember Monarch. So we're going to go try it. You see there, he's only on about 2,500 HP, so even if I get a couple of pens, maybe 1 or 2 pens or a pen and an overpen, I get 2 or 3 bombs to hit, I should probably manage to pull this off. Monarch's mid-range AA is pretty filthy, though, so I'm going to take some losses and take some damage here. There you go, you see he starts to pop his heel now, as I get these bombers in, and we manage to land just enough, 3 full pens and an overpen there, and we get him off the board. That feels pretty good. So now, the difference is only 1 ship now, but they still have a cap advantage. That Kagero bagging the decap early means that they're continuing to take up points faster than we are. The board has thinned out very quickly in a double carrier game, as you kind of imagine here. We're not even to the halfway mark of the match, and half the ships in the game are already dead. So, yeah, I feel kind of rough here. So now I'm kind of torn, and I make probably the wrong decision here. I grab the torpedo bombers, given that I'm looking at a Bayern and a New Mexico that I really want to get off the board. That's the right call. But the mistake that I make is that I go all the way across the map to deal with this Bayern. The New Mexico's closer. He's closer. I've got friendly ships right there, including that Nuremberg I might be able to save. Unfortunately, that's not the play that I make. So, a little bit of learning for here, like, when you're playing carrier, my whole position right now is kind of crap. I ran this way early because they were pushing so aggressively through A, I didn't want to get caught, okay? But now I've come a little too far. I'm a little too far out of the action, and I'm intentionally taking a strike across the map to deal with a target that I probably don't need to be dealing with. I should let these two battleships beat him up. I should have gone after the New Mexico over on the 9 line. But now that I'm here, he doesn't know that I'm here. I'll use this island as cover to get my run. I'll be on top of him almost before he even sees these planes, as the Ryujo's also taking a couple of torpedoes in on him right now. There's the Ryujo's in the water. Here comes mine right behind him. And just in a very, very short amount of time, this Baron is going to be in a very, very, very bad world of pain. Takes all 3 of mine with no flood. As, again, we turn to the right direction to come back to lead him. Going for the second run here. I mean, you can see he's barely damaging my planes. He's just not enough to really get through. Really, really do a whole lot here. Put 3 more into the water. He's going to eat all of those. Does take a flood this time, and then the friendly Amagi wipes him out. So, at least it wasn't a wasted attack, right? I put a bunch of good damage into him, and the team got him. Unfortunately, neither one of those guys stayed in the cap circle. Like, we're not capping anything, so we're still down a cap. We're up 2 ships, but we're still upside down on points with 9 minutes to play. I've got 3 battleships on the 2 line. Oof. And now I have to try and make something happen. So, over the next couple of minutes, what you're going to see me do, you can see I've already started this play. I'm moving through the middle of the map. But this is a risk because there's a Devonshire over there. So in order for me to make this play, I have to get this Devonshire off the board. For that, I grab the AP bombers. I only need 1 good Citadel on this guy. My Citadels are worth 5,900 points. So if I can get 1 bomb into this guy's Citadel, I can get rid of him, and I'll be free and clear to move through the center of the map, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. And bam. Alright, so mission accomplished. So now, with my battleships stuck way out of the fight, my initial thinking is and what you see me pulling back here, I'm setting my carrier waypoints to steer my ship. What I'm initially thinking is I'm going to go to D, and you're going to see me make a hard turn to starboard here and head over towards D. But in a minute, I'm going to catch a glimpse of that New Mexico as he comes back into the D cap, and I'm going to immediately decide that this is a very, very bad idea. I'm going to cut back to port, and I'm going to go up the 5 line to the left of that little island in kind of F5 and 6, and I'm going to head towards B. So I'm going to move the next few minutes, I'm going to move straight through the middle of the map. I'm going to show you how, like, my thinking and why not only why I did this, but how I managed to pull this off and hopefully not die. But again, for this gambit to work, I have to get this New Mexico off the board. The Devonshire's out. The carriers I'm not as concerned about, but I need to get the surface ships off the board in order for me to pull this off and get up to the A cap, which is where I'm trying to get to. Torpedoes. Tier 8, Tier 7 torpedo bombers on New Mexico. Got to get a few of these in. I don't always get the lead right, but I do get a couple of these in. He's going to take some damage here, as I do attract the attention of the Shokaku fighters. They pop around here and chew up my squadron pretty good, leaving me with only a couple of planes to make this last run. Now, the enemy New Mexico is doing something really smart. He's teamed up with the Shokaku. They're sharing AA, and they're sharing the Shokaku's combat air patrol. So kudos to those guys for playing well at this stage of the game. But I continue to put damage to the New Mexico as the Shokaku finally wipes out the enemy our Nuremberg. I felt bad for that guy. I almost felt like I should be helping him, but I wasn't 100% positive what I should do. He's so far out of the action. I'd have to go so far out of my way to drop him fighter cover. It wasn't worth it. So now, the Shokaku is going to be bringing his planes to the middle of the map, so I start putting a fighter down. I know that he's coming through the middle of the map. There's nothing... everybody else is in the center. He has to come through the middle of the map to come find us. His fighters, he dropped some fighters up ahead, but the friendly Ryujo's planes just ate that charge of fighters, so I am free and clear to make this run on the New Mexico. I come in, and get my torpedoes into the water, right as the Bismarck takes care of the problem. But I'm okay with that. He's dead. Now my gambit can proceed. So, between my AA and my squadrons, I take a little bit of torpedo damage here, about 10,000 damage, but I chew up all of those planes as I run north. Again, I'm moving north at full speed. So I'm going to the A cap. So, over the next couple of waves here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to launch some planes, dump the fighter, recall them. Launch some planes. It looks like what is this? Yep, those are my rocket planes. Dump a fighter. So now I have not only I have 2 fighters plus my combat air patrol. I recall those guys and I immediately go back to my hull, focus my AA, and launch another set of planes. Over the next couple of minutes, you're going to see me spend a little time controlling my hull, partly because I'm focusing my AA sector, and partly because I'm actually manually trying to avoid some torpedo drops. I dump another fighter here for cover on the Bismarck and the Amagi. I recall these planes, go back to the hull, focus my AA sector, and turn to starboard to try to dodge some of this incoming damage. These carriers are kind of in a bad position because they're having to go in on the concentrated AA of all of us, plus all of my fighter cover. So these guys are getting attacks off to some extent, but they're paying for it big time. I'm shredding them. This is almost paid off. I'm only a few kilometers now from getting into the A-cap as I dump. Let's see what we grab. We grab the torpedo bombers, okay? We're going to get out here ahead of these guys, drop some more fighter cover, because, again, I'm trying to give these guys as much cover as I can as they push straight through the middle of the map as well. We finally managed to work our way out to a small lead. We have a 3-ship lead, but as soon as they get one of the... Like, if one of these battleships dies, we're in trouble. That'll flip the score back the other way. And there's only 4 minutes to play. So I'm kind of having to balance offense and defense here. These carriers are a long way away from me. Like, it's half the board to get over there. I'm not spending a tremendous amount of time making attacks, and that's intentional. I'm playing defense, trying to shepherd these ships through the middle of the board with fighter squadrons and my own AA bubble. Grab the rockets, dump some more fighters, and now it's my turn to sail through this this Shokaku fighter squadron and get chewed up here a bit. But he's only got 5 planes in that squadron, so I have 12, so I can carry 7 or 8 out. That works as I continue to press on this attack over on the Shokaku. Now, one of the things that they've done with the carrier rework is they've really tried to discourage carrier sniping, and they've done a really good job of this. However, I will say that if you get the opportunity, it's not inconceivable to kill the enemy carrier with a few concentrated attacks, especially with an Enterprise, depending on the matchup. Watch what I do to this guy with a single rocket attack. Just watch. Watch the number pop up when it goes in. 10,222 damage and a fire. Now, the fire is apparently meaningless because he's a carrier, but 10K out of the rockets. That's the kind of damage that you can get on a Shokaku with these 27 millimeter rockets. They have 27 millimeters of pen. That's just enough to get through his deck. Shokaku doesn't have an armored deck. Now, against a British carrier, you will absolutely not get those kinds of numbers. So it's a question of knowing your target. But against a Shokaku, you can bully him a little bit with your rocket squadrons. And remember, Enterprise's rockets are big squadrons, and you have deep reserves, and they regenerate fast. These battleships have done a great job getting to the middle of the board, tag-teaming their AA and everything. I've shepherded them as far as I can. They're finally into the decap, but it's only a matter of time, and yeah, we're going to lose the Bismarck here. He was the lower of the 2. They finally managed to put enough damage into him to get him off the board. Now, I've got the dive bombers in hand, popping another one of my fighter consumables for the Amagi, as we spot the Furious. Now, the Shokaku's pretty quick. He's continuing to run south. I don't want to chase him anymore. We've stopped their points gains now. We have a 20-ish point lead, about 90 seconds to play. I'm curious if I can get this Furious. I know he has an armored deck. What I want to know is, can my AP bombs penetrate his armored deck? We're going to go find out. The Amagi gets a really solid hit into him there. Look at that. It takes about half his HP. The Ryujo's going in on this guy, and I'm coming in with the AP bombs. Now, he's turning to port. He finally turns his engines on. He was stopped up there for a while until we spotted him. He was stationary just a few seconds ago, but now he's got his engines on and moving. This is something I don't like doing, because when you try a dive bomb attack from astern, you spend more time in their AA bubble than you want to. But in this instance, it is what it is, and I just have to suffer through it, take the casualties, and put the bombs down. Now, I do get a lot of hits. Unfortunately, I get mostly overpens, so I don't get but about 4,000 or 5,000 damage there. But it's interesting to note that I can get some damage, and I can get a full pen on him. I'll have to spend a little more time researching that, what else I can do with the AP bombs. On 7K, I grabbed the rockets. And remember what I was just saying about not using rockets on British carriers? I kind of go against my own thing here. And on top of it, this is the worst drop I get in the game because I start this run too late. Look at that, 3 clicks at like high speed. I start the run, and the reticle doesn't even line up until I'm basically past him. I land one dinky rocket on his stern, Then I get chewed up by the fighters. But the Ryujo puts a few bombs into him, and on 700 HP, I only need like one, maybe two of these things. We get a solid hit off, and there he goes. And that should seal the deal now. With only a few seconds left, game ticks away as we pick up a nice little win in Enterprise. So one of the things that I like about Enterprise, the mix of rockets, the torpedoes, the bombs, you have tools you can use in almost any situation. You look at a carrier like Kaga. Kaga is not a great ship to be playing if you're trying to hunt destroyers. But if you want to hunt capital ships, there's almost nothing better in the game. Enterprise is a more well-rounded ship, in my opinion. The rockets are very, very usable against destroyers. They're very usable against light cruisers. I've done horrible things to Atlantas with these rockets. They're very, very usable against certain carriers. The AP bombs, fabulous against cruisers. Pretty good against certain battleships. And the torpedoes are always useful against a variety, just basically everything in the game. You can almost always get damage out of torpedoes. So Enterprise, I like, she has a very well-rounded carrier, and her defensive squadrons, there's 10 fighters in each of those fighter consumables. She is a troll when it comes to air defense, and it makes her a lot of fun to play if you get, say, lucky or good with where you place your fighter squadrons. Anyway, guys, there you go. Hope you enjoyed that one. I got a few more of these. Still trying to get some decent games of some of the other Tier 8 carriers, but we're going to keep this series going. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there, and I'll catch you next time.